we really get into solving these problems, I just want to make sure when I talk about some of these different payment periods, I want to make sure everyone knows what I'm referring to. So if I say you're earning interest annually, what does annually mean? Yeah. What would semi-annually be? Mm-hmm. Quarterly? Monthly? Okay, here's the one that there's always about half class that doesn't know. How many days are in a year? 360. Okay. We are talking about two different types of interest in this. We have compound and then continuous interest. The formulas for these will be given to you on any test or quiz, but you have to know how to use them. So essentially, I'll tell you the formula, but I'm not going to tell you what all the different variables stand for. You have to know that part. So regular compound interest, A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. A represents your ending amount. Sometimes that's referred to as the future value. It's not what you have right now, it's what you will have at some point in the future. P is your principal or your starting amount, sometimes called present value. R is your interest rate. When you use that in a formula, it has to be in decimal form. So if I say 5% interest, you have to do 0.05. T is your time. It has to be in years. So if I said 6 months, what would you use for your T? 0.5, half a year. So always in years. And N is the number of times we compounded yearly, which is kind of talking about that first page. So if I said we're compounding monthly, then your N is 12. If I say we're compounding daily, then your N is the 365. The second type of interest is continuous. The only time you use this formula is if I say the word continuous. Otherwise, it's the first one. And in this, A equals PE to the RT. E is a button on your calculator, so everyone will need a calculator today. Go ahead and open up your Chromebook if you don't have that. It is like third button up on the left. It's the natural log button. And above that, you have the E to the X, so you'll have to hit second that button. So E is just on your calculator. A, P, R, and T all represent the same thing as the previous one. How many of you do not have a working Chromebook at the moment? Guys. Thank you. Some people are responsible. Okay. Tyler, you're sitting closer now. That'll give you a charger. Can you charge yours? Okay. So let's take a look at our first example. Find part A, the future value of $100 invested at 4% compounded quarterly after a period of 13 quarters. So let's write down what we have. Future value is what variable? A. So that's what I'm looking for. What would the $100 represent? P. That's what we have right now. Invested at 4%. That is my rate. We would have to use 0.04. Compounded quarterly. That's telling me the number of times per year. So quarterly would be, we'll just do 4. You don't have to do that one as a decimal. After a period of 13 quarters, okay, be very careful. This is telling me my time. But time has to be measured in years. So 13 quarters, how would I translate that into years? We'd have to divide it by, you'd have to divide it by 4 because there are 4 quarters in a year, so 13 over 4. You can leave it in that fraction form. If you change it to a decimal, it's 3.25, so either one, fraction or decimal. Because I didn't tell you the number of years, we know in a year there are 4 quarters. That's why I divided it by 4. Is everybody okay with that? So now our formula. The only time I use the second formula is if I have a word continuous. And I am not compounding continuously, so it is the first formula. So we just plug in. A equals, my P is 100. 1 plus 0.04 over 4 to the n, which is 4, times t, which is 3.25. Okay, put this in your calculator. Just do the whole thing at once. You don't have to break it into pieces or anything. I would like, I know a lot of times you guys just wait for me to tell you the answer, but I would like for you to make sure you know how to plug these in so that you can get the correct answer. So take a minute and put it in and make sure your answer matches mine. That way we can figure out now if you're plugging something in wrong. Since this is money, how many decimal places should we round to? 2 decimal places. So I get 113.809, so it would be $113.81, which is a reasonable answer. You know, if we're talking about interest, we should have more money at the end than we started with, so that is a good answer. So that's the first thing I asked for. Part B, I want the amount of interest that I've earned. How would I find that? I started with 100, so all I have to do is take my ending amount minus my beginning amount, and I get that I earned $13.81 interest. Any questions there? This is all we're doing today, so we're just going to keep practicing using these formulas. Next example. Leah must pay a lump sum of $15,000. Part A. What amount deposited today at 4.8% compounded annually will give $15,000 in 42 months? Okay, so let's go through our variables. What does this 15,000 represent? It's A. It's what we want in the future. She needs 15,000. That is our future value. P is what we have right now, and that's what I'm trying to find. What amount deposited today? I'm trying to find what she has right now. My rate would be always just move your percent, if you have a percent, move the decimal back 2 spots. Compounded annually, so N annually is 1 time per year. 42 months. So my time has to be in years. How would I change 42 months to a year? 42 over 12 because of the 12 months in a year, and we get 3.5 years. Okay, so again, we're using the same formula, A equals P, 1 plus R over N to the NT. Plug in what we have. So 15,000 equals P, 1 plus R, 0.048 over N, which is 1, to the 1 times 3.5 power. I'm going to simplify just a touch. 1 plus 0.048 divided by 1 is 1.048. 1 times 3.5 is 3.5. Now I could go ahead and put that in my calculator, but it's going to give me a pretty ugly answer. If I want P, what do I need to do with this whole thing? Divide it over. So that's what I'm putting in my calculator. 15,000 divided by 1.048 to the 3.5 power. This is my present value. It should be smaller than 15,000. If we're going to have 15,000 in the future, then we have less than that right now. And I get $12,729.95. Part B says if only 10,000 is available right now, what annual interest rate is necessary? So what this is saying is we still need the 15,000 in the future. P, the amount I have right now, is 10,000. This time I'm trying to find my interest rate. So R is the piece we don't know. N, I failed to put it in this part, but we're just going to assume it's the same as part A. So N still just compounded that 1 time per year. And T, how many years do we have this time? 4. So plug into the formula. A, so 15,000 equals P, 10,000. 1 plus R over N, which is 1, to the N times T. 1 times 4. What could I do with that 10,000? Divide it. So that gives me a 1.5 equals 1 plus R divided by 1 is just R. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, we know a little bit about this. How do you get rid of a 4th power? 4th root. Normally with that you would do a plus and minus, but can you have a negative interest rate? No, so we'll just have a positive 4th root. And then how would I get rid of my 1? Subtract it. So what I'm doing on my calculator is the 4th root of 1.5 with the minus 1 on the end. That minus 1 is not under the radical. Okay. So this would be 10.67%. Any questions on these so far? I'm going to skip the next one on your handout for now. I want to go to this example. So it's the last example on that first page. Find what investing $1,000 at an annual rate of 10% compounded continuously. When you see that word continuously, what does that tell you? Yeah, we're using that second equation. Okay, what is the $1,000? That's our P, that's what we have right now. My rate, 10%, would be 0.1. 2.5 years is my time, and we are trying to find what we have in the future, so we're looking for the A. So again, we're just putting all this in our calculator at once. 1,000, to get the E, you have to hit the second and that natural log button. If anybody can't find that, let me know. It's the third button up on the left. You get $1,284.03. I would like for you guys to take a minute and try the next one on your own. At least write down what all your variables. Find the present value. So that's what I need. So what is the 100? That's our A. So the 100 is what we're going to end with. We're finding the P. 2 years, so that's my time. 6%, so R is 0.06. Compounded monthly, so N is 12. So unless I see the word continuous, I'm using this formula. So I have 100 equals P 1 plus R over N to the N times T power. You are welcome to simplify that some. But we really don't have to. We could go straight to our calculator. To get the P by itself, we're going to have to divide by that whole parenthesis. So if you want, you can type that all in at once. 100 divided by parenthesis 1 plus 0.06 over 12 to the 12 times 2 power. So you can put everything in. And we should get $88.72. Anybody having trouble putting that in the calculator?
I got 98.
If you open two parentheses, did you close both of those? 12.1 or 2.12 power instead of 2 times 12. Anything else? Okay, we're going to do. I have 3 examples left on here. We may not do them all. We'll see how it's going. what annual rate of interest? So what am I looking for on this one? I'm looking for the R. Compounded semi-annually, so N is 2. Should you seek if you want to double your investment in 5 years? So my T is 5. Okay, did I tell you what your A and P were? No. So there are a couple options here. What I have found in general, it's easiest for people to just make up an A and a P. That's usually what you guys like the best. So P is your present value, what you're starting with right now. So give me a number. What do you want to start with? 100? If I want to double it, what should I end with? 200. Alright. So you could make up any A and P you wanted, just as long as your A was twice your P. So I get 200 equals 100, 1 plus R over 2, or 2 times 5 power. Okay, we are solving for R, so what should I do with my 100? Divide it. 200 divided by 100 is 2. 1 plus R over 2. 2 times 5 is 10. How would I get rid of a 10th power? 10th root. Again, we don't have to worry about plus and minus on these because everything would be positive. Okay, I do not want to round too soon, so I'm not going to put this in my calculator until the very end. To get rid of my 1, we would subtract it. And to get rid of my 2, we would multiply by 2. So this is what I'm putting in my calculator. 2 parentheses 10th root of 2 to minus 1. So we get 0.1435. So 14.35%. I want you guys to try the very last example on your handout. This is what we have today, so that is our P. I want the ending amount, so I'm looking for my A. Your rate, you always take it out of the decimal form, so move it back 2, so 0.085. Time 2 1/4 would be 2.25. You see this continuously. When you have the word continuously, that's when you use the E formula. So A, we don't know. P is 2,000. E to the R, 0.085 times T, 2.25. So we put all this in. And we get $2,421.52. Questions there? I know I've skipped a couple of the examples on my handout, but I think it would benefit us the most to go ahead and start the homework. That way, if you are having questions, you have time to ask me about those. So there is a handout posted on Classroom. It's like 7 questions, so not real long. So I'd like for you to go ahead and start this and then ask for help when you get stuck, okay?